There's a moment in golf that people talk about like it's mythical. Tiger Woods at the 2008 U.S. Open, playing on a leg that was basically destroyed, hitting shots that shouldn't have been possible, willing himself through 4 rounds of agony to force a playoff, and then win it. His knee was held together by an ACL that was completely torn and a stress fracture in his tibia. He could barely walk between shots, and he won anyway. That's the Tiger Woods story in miniature. Extraordinary talent pushed to impossible extremes, success at any cost, the body and mind weaponized into something that transcended normal human limitations. But it's also a story about what happens when you build your entire identity around being perfect and then discover you're not. He was born Eldrick Taunt Woods in 1975 in Cypress, California. His father Earl was a retired Army officer. His mother Kultida was from Thailand. Earl gave him the nickname Tiger after a Vietnamese soldier and friend who'd saved his life in the war. From the beginning, Earl saw something special in his son. Not just talent, but potential for greatness that bordered on destiny. Earl put a golf club in Tiger's hands when he was still in a high chair, let him watch as he hit balls into a net in the garage. By the time Tiger was 2, he was on television showing off his swing on national talk shows. At 3, he shot a 48 for 9 holes. The expectations weren't just high, they were astronomical. Earl was obsessed with turning Tiger into the greatest golfer who ever lived. He studied sports psychology, developed training methods, pushed Tiger constantly. But it wasn't just about technique. Earl worked on Tiger's mental game, his ability to focus under pressure, to block out distractions. He'd jingle coins in his pocket during Tiger's backswing, cough during his putts, do anything to break his concentration. The idea was to make practice harder than competition, to condition Tiger to perform under any circumstances. It was intense, maybe even cruel by some standards. But it worked. Tiger dominated junior golf in a way that was almost unfair. He won everything, broke records, made other kids look like they were playing a different sport. At 15, he became the youngest U.S. junior amateur champion ever. He won that title 3 straight years. Then he moved on to the U.S. Amateur and won that 3 straight years too. No one had ever done that. By the time he turned professional in 1996 at age 20, he was already famous, already considered the future of golf. Nike signed him to a massive endorsement deal. Titleist gave him equipment contracts. The hype was enormous. His first professional win came quickly, but it was the 1997 Masters that announced him as something beyond just a talented young player. He didn't just win, he obliterated the field. 12 strokes. 12. He shot 18 under par at Augusta National, a course that eats players alive. He was 21 years old, the youngest Masters champion ever, and the first black golfer to win a major championship. The significance of that can't be overstated. Golf had been a white sport, a country club game with a history of exclusion and racism. Tiger broke through that in the most dramatic way possible, and suddenly golf was cool, suddenly young people were interested, suddenly the sport looked different. What made Tiger special wasn't just his power, though he hit the ball farther than almost anyone. It wasn't just his technique, though his swing was beautiful and efficient. It was his mind. The focus, the ability to visualize shots and then execute them exactly as imagined. The mental toughness to never give up on a round, no matter how badly it started. He played golf like it was a form of meditation, utterly present, completely locked in. Other players talked about how intimidating it was to compete against him because you could see in his eyes that he believed he was going to win. And usually he did. From 1997 to 2008, Tiger was the most dominant athlete on the planet. He won 14 major championships in that span, came close in several others, spent nearly 400 consecutive weeks as the world's #1 ranked golfer. He turned tournaments into processions. When he had the lead going into Sunday, he almost never lost. That mental strength, that ability to close, it was unprecedented. Other golfers would talk about Tiger Sundays, how he'd wear red shirts in final rounds, how he'd seem to will the ball into the hole through sheer force of concentration. His practice routines were legendary. He'd hit balls until his hands bled, work on a single shot for hours until he had it perfect, replay rounds in his mind looking for mistakes. He ran, lifted weights, got his body into peak athletic condition in a way golfers historically hadn't bothered with. He treated golf like a professional sport instead of a gentleman's game, and it paid off. His body became a precision instrument, every muscle trained for stability, power, control. The focus wasn't just mental, it was physical. Everything in service of hitting the ball exactly where he wanted it to go. But there was a cost to all this intensity. Tiger didn't have a normal childhood. He was training, performing under pressure from the time he could walk. Earl's methods, however effective, were demanding. Tiger learned early that love and approval came from performance, from winning, from being the best. That's a heavy burden for a kid. And even as he succeeded beyond anyone's wildest dreams, there was always this sense that he was carrying something, fulfilling someone else's vision as much as his own. He got married in 2004 to Elin Nordegren, a Swedish model. They had 2 kids. From the outside, it looked perfect. The greatest golfer in the world, beautiful family, hundreds of millions of dollars in earnings and endorsements, respect from everyone. He was essentially corporate America's favorite athlete, safe, controlled, the right image. But that image was a lie. In 2009, everything collapsed. Tiger crashed his car into a fire hydrant outside his house in the middle of the night. The accident itself was minor, but what came after wasn't. Reports started emerging about infidelity, about multiple affairs, about a private life that was completely at odds with his public persona. More and more women came forward. The details were sordid, embarrassing. Tiger had been living a double life, and suddenly it was all public. He released a statement, took a leave from golf, eventually did a press conference where he apologized in the most wooden, corporate way imaginable. You could see him struggling, this person who was so controlled on the golf course, so precise with every movement, now completely unable to manage the situation. His sponsors started dropping him. His marriage imploded. Elin divorced him, reportedly got over $100 million in the settlement. The perfect image was shattered completely, and his golf game fell apart too. That's the part that was almost shocking. Everyone expected personal consequences, but Tiger had always been able to compartmentalize, to perform no matter what was happening in his life. But this time he couldn't. He tried to come back too soon, was clearly distracted, started missing cuts, losing early in tournaments. His swing looked different, less fluid, like he was thinking instead of trusting his instincts. The focus that had been his superpower was gone. Then the injuries started piling up. His back, his knee, his neck. All those years of torque, of generating massive power through rotation, of pushing his body to extremes, they caught up to him. He had multiple surgeries, tried different swing techniques to reduce stress on his back, but nothing worked consistently. There were years where he barely played, where people wondered if he'd ever compete seriously again. He dropped out of the top 50, then the top 100, then wasn't even ranked. The greatest golfer of his generation was struggling to make cuts at minor tournaments. The surgeries kept coming. 4 back surgeries between 2014 and 2017. He'd show up at tournaments looking stiff, uncomfortable, unable to move the way he used to. In 2017, he was arrested for DUI, found asleep in his car with prescription painkillers in his system. The mugshot looked awful, puffy, and distant, nothing like the focused athlete who dominated golf for a decade. He checked into rehab, released another apology. Happened. He started to get healthy. The latest surgery, a spinal fusion, actually worked. He could practice again without excruciating pain. He started playing in tournaments, not winning, but showing flashes of the old Tiger. Making birdies when he needed them, grinding out pars, showing that competitiveness that had never really disappeared. People started paying attention again, not with the certainty they'd once had, but with hope. Maybe there was something left. In 2019, he won the Masters. Not the young Tiger dominating everyone, but a 43-year-old version, smarter, more patient, managing his game and his body carefully. He was 1 stroke back going into the back 9 on Sunday, and then he just did what Tiger Woods does. He made the putts he needed, avoided mistakes, let other players crumble under pressure. When he tapped in the final putt, the roar was deafening. It was one of the greatest comebacks in sports history, maybe the greatest. From physically broken and professionally irrelevant to winning a major championship again. 11 years after his last major win, he'd done it again. It felt like redemption. Like proof that talent and work ethic could overcome anything, that focus and precision could be rediscovered even after everything fell apart. Tiger hugging his kids behind the 18th green was this perfect full-circle moment. His father had pushed him into golf as a toddler, and now he was experiencing victory with his own children there to witness it. The symbolism was overwhelming, but the story didn't end there. In early 2021, Tiger was driving through Los Angeles, going way too fast, and lost control of his SUV. The car went off the road, rolled multiple times, was completely destroyed. When first responders pulled him out, his right leg was shattered. Compound fractures in multiple places, the kind of injuries that end athletic careers. They had to put a rod in his leg, pins and screws, the whole works. For a while, doctors weren't sure if he'd walk normally again, let alone play professional golf. He did rehab, worked to get mobile, started hitting balls again. But the leg hasn't fully recovered. He walks with a noticeable limp, can't practice for long periods, can't put in the volume of work that golf at the highest level requires. He's played in some tournaments since then, made the cut at some majors, but he's not competitive the way he once was. The body finally gave out in a way that couldn't be overcome through willpower. So what's the legacy? Tiger Woods won 15 major championships, 82 PGA Tour events, spent more weeks at #1 than anyone else. He changed golf, made it more athletic, more diverse, more popular. He brought in sponsors and money and attention that transformed the sport. Kids who'd never have picked up a golf club started playing because of him. He proved that mental toughness and precision under pressure could elevate someone above more naturally talented competitors. But there's also the other side. The obsessive training that destroyed his body. The inability to separate his identity from his performance, which made him vulnerable to collapse when he couldn't win. The affairs and lies that blew up his personal life. The relentless pressure from childhood that never let him just be a person instead of a golf machine. The focus and precision that made him great also made him fragile, because when that focus broke, everything broke. Earl Woods believed his son was destined for greatness, not just in golf, but as a figure who would change the world. He thought Tiger would be more influential than any athlete in history, that his impact would transcend sports. In some ways, he was right. Tiger did change things, did matter beyond just tournament victories, but the cost of that was enormous. Tiger paid for his greatness with his health, his privacy, his relationships. He became what his father wanted, achieved what everyone expected, and then had to live with the consequences. The focus everyone talks about, the precision that wasn't natural. It was trained into him from toddlerhood, reinforced through thousands of hours of practice, maintained through incredible discipline. But it was also brittle. When the external validation stopped coming, when the winning stopped, when his body betrayed him, that focus couldn't be sustained. He had to rebuild it, find new reasons to compete, new ways to be okay with himself even when he wasn't dominating. That's maybe the most human part of Tiger's story. He reached the absolute peak of his sport, stayed there for over a decade, and it still wasn't enough to make him happy or stable or whole. The precision with which he played golf didn't translate to precision in managing life. The focus that let him block out distractions on the course didn't help him deal with the distractions of fame, pressure, expectations. He was brilliant at one thing and struggled with almost everything else. And yet people love him. Even after the scandals, even after watching him fail and struggle and get arrested and crash his car, people root for Tiger. Because there's something compelling about someone who's that good at something, who can focus with that intensity, who can perform under pressure the way he did. We want to believe that greatness is possible, that through sheer will and dedication, someone can transcend normal human limitations. Tiger proved that's true. He also proved that it doesn't necessarily lead to happiness. The current version of Tiger Woods is someone trying to figure out what comes next. He can't compete at the highest level anymore, his body won't allow it. But he still shows up, still plays when he can, still generates enormous attention whenever he tees it up. He's involved in golf course design, runs his foundation, is present for his kids in a way his father was present for him, though hopefully with less pressure. He's trying to find meaning beyond winning, which is hard when winning was your entire identity for so long. There's something almost tragic about watching him play now. You can see glimpses of the old Tiger, moments where the swing looks smooth, where he hits a shot exactly as intended, where the focus returns. But then his body reminds him of its limitations, or the precision isn't quite there, or younger players who grew up idolizing him hit it past him and outpace him. He's mortal now in a way he didn't used to be, and that's difficult to watch if you remember what he was. But maybe there's also something inspiring about it. He could have retired after the 2019 Masters, gone out on top, preserved that comeback narrative. Instead, he keeps playing, keeps competing even when he can't win, keeps putting himself through the physical pain because he loves golf, or needs it, or doesn't know who he is without it. That's not focus and precision anymore, that's just stubbornness. Or passion, or addiction, maybe all three. The truth is Tiger Woods is probably the most talented golfer who ever lived. His peak was higher than anyone else's. His combination of power, precision, and mental toughness was unprecedented. He made shots that shouldn't have been possible, won tournaments that should have been lost, dominated in a way that made grown men afraid to compete against him. The focus was real, the precision was real, and for a while it seemed like nothing could stop him. But life stopped him. His body, his choices, his inability to maintain the perfect image, the weight of expectations that started before he could talk. He achieved everything his father dreamed for him and more, and it nearly destroyed him. He came back from that destruction, proved he could still compete, still win, still summon that old magic. And then his body broke again, this time probably for good. So now he's trying to figure out what Tiger Woods means when it doesn't mean being the best golfer in the world. That's a hard question for someone who's never been anything else. The focus and precision that defined him, they're still there in moments, but they can't overcome age and injury and accumulated damage. And maybe that's okay. Maybe the lesson isn't about endless